Red Devils United! Hope you're having a good time. Sagar and I are back with another edition of Red Devils Weekly. Today we're going to talk about Premier League Project Restart Phase 2. Well, Premier League is due to go live on June 17th following the lead of the Bundesliga. Stay tuned to know more. So Sagar, I'm excited
Yeah,
to when I read that news that Premier League was gonna come back live starting June 17th after all of these talks.
right.
Like I'm really looking forward to some games. What about you?
For sure, right. Yeah. For like finally we got some good news after Bundesliga already started. So it's really good to see that Premier League has taken those steps and started phase two. Cannot wait for the games to start. It feels like eternity since like we have watched any football or proper football. I would like to say like Bundesliga games are good. It's something we have at this moment, but still Bundesliga is kind of slow. So Premier League would be good for some change.
It is. Well, there were a lot of discussions happening for the last month and a half
Yeah,
where the UK government wanted the games to start. They designated Premier League as an essential profession,
right.
and they wanted the games to come back as soon as possible to give people something to cheer about. But then that came with a lot of difficulties, with so many clubs, so many stakeholders involved to get the Premier League going, money involved with the broadcasters, club sponsorships, player contracts, and it felt as if we were never going to go anywhere with Premier League's restart. But finally, some headway has been made.
Right.
Where even though the clubs wanted a 4-week pre-training, but Premier League wanted 2 weeks, and they decided to meet in the middle. Like
Yeah.
this is what we do when we're dealing with ourselves.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. It's like barter
the
system, like.
parties thing.
Yeah.
So
So I think it was reasonable from the clubs to ask for like 4 weeks because I think that's what it takes for the players to get fit for a season as well. So, but yeah, obviously 3 weeks still works because players have been training in self isolation as well. So they are fit. It's just the fact that they need to be match fit as well.
and yeah, this week, like Man United released a lot of training videos on YouTube. Some very interesting snippets with Bruno and Pogba seen for the first time. Playing together, training together, and players sort of getting that opportunity to do some drills together because the first week was all about
Right.
individual training, social distancing. But this week onwards, players have started training together, and I believe next week is when they'll start having some practice games with each other to take
Right.
their fitness,
Right.
to that next level to be match ready. He came out with a 7 days a week schedule where games will be played almost every other day
Other day.
with Aston Villa, Sheffield, Man City, and Arsenal supposed to start and essentially play the 29th game.
Right. Right.
And
I think they're trying to finish the Man City Arsenal game and the Villa Sheffield game at the beginning, so that all the teams are on the same number of games, and then go into the weekend and then start the Premier League like in full force, where all the teams can play over the weekend. And I think that's what the plan is, and it makes sense as well. And the fact that there is going to be close to like 100 games in 4 weeks time or something. It's like
yeah, 92
yeah,
games.
92 games. So that's going to be a lot of football we are going to catch up on in a week, in a period of 4 weeks. So that's super exciting.
Think the Premier League will come up with any such innovative solutions to ensure that the atmosphere inside the stadium is good enough to motivate players to do their best on the field.
Absolutely. Like we will definitely see some kind of game sound on during the broadcast, even though we'll not have fans present in the stadium. Like that's what Bundesliga is doing as well. And the fact that they have uh, the cameras try and focus on the game a lot more on the players, so you do not actually get a sense that there are no fans in the stadium. and you continue to hear the sounds as well. So I don't think that actually matters, because I personally, when I was watching the Bundesliga games, didn't quite actually miss the fact that there are no fans in the stadium. So I think it's just the players who are going to miss the atmosphere, because the crowd plays a lot on how the players perform, especially if you are in the home, playing at your home. So ideas like already been floating around is the fact that Premier League is going to put up Zoom calls on the big screen where select few fans will be watching the game and enjoying it, so that
Ah,
players, when they start and celebrate a goal, they can have at least go in front of the like big screen and celebrate with the fans. So that's an interesting idea which I think they should be looking at.
clubs and the Premier League is also deciding about the stadiums, because there was a huge hue and cry about the neutral venues, and a lot of clubs were against neutral venues. And then the Premier League proposed a hybrid model where certain
Right.
games would be played like home and away, but certain high risk games like the Liverpool Everton derby, which might essentially be the game where Liverpool lifts the trophy,
Right. Right.
and that can cause a huge risk because crowds might turn up outside the stadium, be it Everton's or Liverpool.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
for
think the
that game, they're
hybrid
thinking
model
of
is really good, right? Like, I really like the idea of a hybrid model where teams get to play these high-profile games in a neutral venue where they have identified specific areas which are low at risk. The
so,
other
and
interesting aspect I wanted to get your opinion on is the fact that there are still some players who are not willing to participate in the league uh, at this point in time. So, what do you think uh, would be some impact like that can be seen on certain clubs? Like, for instance, Kante has said that he will not be taking part in the Premier League game. So, do you?
at this point in time, certain players are, I feel they're right to
Right.
have some hesitation to go out and play,
Mm.
considering that most of the players that have expressed such an apprehension fall in the BAME category, like
Right.
the Black, Asians, and other ethnic minorities who are at a higher risk of contracting the virus and facing issues. And Kante, I think his family has a history of heart
Right.
disease as
Yeah.
well. So
Hmm.
that was another motivating factor for his apprehension.
Right.
So I feel for Chelsea because Kante is a huge play for Chelsea, but
Mm.
this season Kante has sort of missed a lot of games as well
Right. Yeah.
due to injury, and Chelsea
Mm.
had to cope without him, for this whole season.
Right.
So I don't think Chelsea should miss him for the remainder of the games.
Think about the European games actually starting. Like, do you feel that with the Premier League starting, you can expect the European games to start as well, like the Champions League and the Europa League to start as well? So, do you have any updates on that, or what are your opinions on that?
If we are good and the players are safe from, say, from June until end of July when the games are supposed to end,
Right.
that's when we can think about the Champions League starting, because the players would have played a lot of games in that 6 week period. And all of
Right.
these are like intense matches because we have 6 teams competing for top 4 slots in the Premier League,
Mhm.
and 6 to 7 teams I think are competing to save themselves
Right.
from relegation.
Sure, I think it will be great to see the fact that Solskjaer might have worked on some tactics during the lockdown period, like figuring out some ideal substitutions during crucial moments, or some kind of gameplay which can have an impact on the pitch. So
Yeah,
let's
I
see.
have a good feeling about it. Our bench is also strong.
Yeah.
Like imagine like players like Jesse Lingard,
Right.
not good enough, but still a good bench player. Odion Igahlo on the
Yeah.
bench.
Yeah.
Then maybe either of Fred or Scott McTominay coming from the bench and changing the game. Or Matic on the bench. Daniel
Right.
James on the bench. So we have some really good options now to
Yeah.
come in and change the game. Some really good youngsters as well who are raring to go.
Odion Igahlo, there has been some news around him as well. Like, the Chinese club is not, his parent club is not willing to let him like complete the season, and they want him back in China so that they can be prepared for their start of the season as well. So, do you think if Igalo actually leaves for China, we are going to see an impact because he was, like you said, he is a good bench option to have when we need goals during the final stages of the game. So, do you think that's going to have an impact if, like, Igalo is not let to stay in the at Manchester United?
I think that will leave a huge hole in our squad because Igalo, for all his maybe lack of his abilities or prowess, he's proven to be an effective player for us.
Right.
Nobody considered him to be a maverick player. Nobody gave him any opportunity when we signed him. We were like
Right.
being bogged at,
Yeah.
but then Odion came in and proved all of his critics wrong. Because
Right.
for me, I believe he's a striker that Marcel isn't.
Hmm.
Marcel is good when the game is flowing and he finds
Right.
spaces,
Right.
and he has that partnership with Bruno and Rashford. But Odion Igahlo brings that play where a centre forward can play with his back against the goal, and then he can create chances for other players around him
Right.
instead of just trying to shoot or score goals himself.
Right.
So if he goes, he'll be a huge miss for us. I still remember Odion's play against City. He was there
Exactly. Yeah.
only for like two or
That's the
three
exact
minutes,
thing that came to my mind as well.
and
Like,
yeah, and like the Premier League clubs and the board, like the Premier League board, they're meeting again. I think on the 2nd of June or the
mhm.
following
Yeah.
on June 4th.
Right.
Finally discuss the concept of neutral grounds or the hybrid model,
Right.
and I believe they'll also be discussing what will happen if the games are stopped again, because then
Right.
we'll have to discuss about relegation, whether to promote teams from the championship or not, and other little chinks that are
Yeah.
still left to be solved and discussed. But until then, it's like still some good news, a lot of excitement in the air. Like, I'm really looking forward to the games, and especially after the clubs have put on their training videos on YouTube. Well, for us, that's it. From Project Restart Phase 2, training has started, games are due to go live. I hope you're all excited, and we would really love to hear your thoughts about Project Restart. What do you expect from Man United? What are your thoughts? Would we bang in goals, or would we end up like Wims,
Yeah.
given how we ended last season? And in the meantime, please go and share our videos with other Man United supporters, press a like, and spread the love. And until next time, ta-da!
Make sure you subscribe to the channel and also press the bell icon to stay updated on all the latest happenings regarding Manchester United.